midah keneged midah. So there is going to be a perfect sense of justice to things that happen. They are going to be understandable in the context of what came before them, and that is in its broadest sense the aspect of divine justice, that it gives time, it gives a reason, it makes events make sense.
Can I just ask, in number 1, how did he derive his Perush on Vayomer from the Munach? I'm not really clear that we said in each instance of receiving one must be prepared to give.
So this is really related to what both Rashi and I'm trying to think which other Mepharsh, but we'll say at least Rashi is going to say about all of the things that we're going to say coming up, that the concept of what's going to happen in Brit Bein HaBetarim, the concept of what's going to happen from here on in, is going to tie the concept of giving sacrifices to the act of inheriting the land. That you're going to inherit the land, but you're going to have to dedicate it to service of Hashem. So the two things from here on in are going to be intricately connected, and the Munach is certainly saying that there's going to be a new way of doing things, or a new way of understanding things, in the very least. That when you get something, you have to understand that the obligation of having something also comes with a responsibility of doing something about the fact that you possess it.
I wonder if here the Munach is again a pictogram. That is, when you have a bracha from above down, then you extend your hand forward.
Oh, interesting.
Again, he said, is indicated by the shape of the reading work, so it is possible that's within what he's saying. He's not explicit about it, but it falls within the possibility that that's what he meant. Kecha, with a mecha. So here we're going to notice that this word is in the feminine sense of the word, not kach, which you would say to a man, but kecha. The idea of the perfect concept of masculinity, and again, within each of us we have some of the features of masculinity and some of the features of femininity, but there is a Kabbalistic or Torah definition of exactly what male is, and male is giving a whole bunch of different sparks that all have potential but don't have necessarily any ability to become the reality that's going to be the one that takes hold. The feminine is the concept of taking one small aspect and allowing it to flourish and grow. So very much related to the biologic. Male is millions and billions of sperm. Female is one egg, nurturing that one egg and allowing it to grow. So when you see something that's expressed in the feminine, that's told to somebody who's masculine, you're saying, take this concept, take this idea, and allow this to be the one that grows. You might have other things that you might do with it, or other things that you might think about. Abandon all the other ideas, take this idea and allow this to be the idea that flourishes. So, kecha in the feminine, number 3. With a mercha lightly connected to what's come from before, but mostly moving forward into what's going to go after. Number 3, take from your edible animals which are useful to you and give them a sacrifice without any particular purpose. By this you shall also qualify to get, as stressed by the directional shape of the reading line. So you're going to take these animals in order to give, and you're going to understand that the purpose of having things is to dedicate them to something, or having something puts a responsibility on you to do something for posterity with everything that you have. You own this pen, you should know that it falls under your influence in order to do things with it, and your choices are going to be what's going to shape whether you're going to write something that's Torah or whether you're going to write something that's profane. And your free will is going to take the items under your influence and turn them into either something productive or something that is unproductive. And Abraham is being told here to take from what he's got and to, again, with that feminine idea of make this something that's going to be the way that things happen. Dedicate it for a purpose. Li, with a pashta. This is a note that appears on the top of the word, so it makes the word a little more important, with ever so slight a pause after. Number 4, present them for me, not as a maneuver to obtain something in return, but to establish a principle of routine. Unpremeditated giving is denoted by the directional shape of the reading mark. So again, this is something that's going to go from here and move forward from here. And you're going to dedicate something to God, not because you're going to do it and you're going to get if you give $10, God is going to give you 100. It's not that. You're doing it almanat lo lekabel pras. So Pirkei Avot tells us you shouldn't be like somebody who does something in order to win a prize, to get a reward. You should be like somebody who does something not for the purpose of getting a reward, just because you know that it's the right thing to do. So Avraham is being told your dedication to God shouldn't be based on quid pro quo and doing this and therefore you're going to get that. It should be based on there's going to be a relationship. There's got to be an aspect of doing it for the sake just of your appreciation of God. And note, kicha li, like the chuli truma, in the sense of giving. Kicha li, instead of kachli, reflects an intentional hey hakivun. So here he's taking the hey and is saying, take towards me, or take purposefully for me.
So, once again, I know I've asked this before, I'm still not clear. So when you have the pashta, it's above the word. And so, is there a connotation in it being above the word?
It is, the connotation is, it gives the word a little more prominence. That's number 1. It's a forward-facing note, so it's going to tell you that something is going to come out of this that's going to go forward from here on in. And it is a melech. It's a note that has a slight pause after. So again, it's going to give it the slightest of extra influence, of extra prominence as well. Eglah, with a munach, number 5 on the next page. You shall provide a calf from your own herd and utilize it for proceeding, as suggested by the shape of the reading mark. And again, separated out from what's come from before, but moving forward. So you're going to take this calf, mishuleshet, tripled, with the 2-part katon. It shall be tripled by dividing it into 3 parts of equal weights, as expressed by the bipartite shape of the defined reading mark. So, and again, I was struggling to find two things that are happening here, one that's higher and one that's lower. At least two things, so it's going to be divided into three parts, so two can be just any multiple. But again, the act is going to seem rather senseless to Avram, but he's going to know that there's a purpose to it. So it's going to have a lower aspect and a higher aspect, and that's really all I could think about. And we have a note here at La Mushleshet. Rashi suggests that the meaning of three calves, rather than divided into three parts, he's saying that Mushleshet means you should take three of them, symbolic of the sacrifices of Yom Kippur, the sacrifice of, so he mentions three agalot, egla rufa, Rashi mentions three examples where you give an egel, where you give a calf as a sacrifice. Rambam caught the essence of the matter, but his answer is not lucid and okay, so I left the book at home, sorry. So I think maybe what we're going to do is we're going to come back to this note when I bring the other sefer with me, because unfortunately I left it at home today, and I wanted to read those out for you, and I did not have the book with me when I got in the car. So we'll come back to that note next class. Number 7, the A's with the Mecha, lightly connected to what's come from before, but mostly moving us forward. Similarly, Avram was ordered to present other animals, and a goat of average size and appearance, as specified by the directional shape of the reading mark. And again, the question is, where do we see average size and appearance in a Mecha? So this is a note that is underneath the word, so it's sort of mundane. It's not above the word. So this is your average goat, and it's connected to what's come from before lightly. So it's going to be something like he would give for a sacrifice, and it's going to move forward into the word mishulashet, number 8, with the backwards facing tifcha, number 8. It should have been tripled by cutting it into 3 comparable pieces, as illustrated by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. And again, here we're taking one of the minority views that things were cut into 3, not cut into 2, and we're pausing after that thought. So each of these various types of animals is going to stand on its own. The ayil with a munach, so strongly separated from the other 2, and moving forward into what's going to go next, number 9. Along with previous animals, and a ram shall be brought to complement the kosher ones, as conveyed by the shape of the reading mark. So this is going to have a separate meaning to it that's not connected to the meaning of the others. Mishulashed, again tripled, with the stabilizing etnachta, number 10. This one shall also be tripled, and the number of pieces will add up to a significant amount, as depicted by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. And again, I'm not quite sure what he felt the meaning of 9 is going to be here. 9, we know from Seder, 9 is Tisha Yarcheleda, so 9 is certainly a fertility symbol, and Avram is being promised both children and fertility, and I think that's what he might have been referring to here, as far as this being a significant number.
Why do Mishulashet, and Mishulash not all have the same note, the same meaning? Like, why are they different?
So each, when you read through the Mefarshim, each of the animals, the animals are being brought are significant as far as types of korbanot that are going to be brought later, and each of these has a distinct purpose and a distinct function, in terms of forgiveness, in terms of connection to the land, in terms of just sacrifice for thanks. So each because it has a different function is going to get a different note that tells us of how you're going to use it.
I see.
Vitor, Vitor number 11. The display shall also include and a dove, which is a clean bird and does not interfere with the life of anyone else, as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. So the other Mefarshim are trying to relate these other types of animals to the nations of the world, and how each one of them is eventually going to be cut up into pieces. Their philosophy is not going to continue, and the people of Israel, the dove is what's going to continue, and they do bring references to say which of the nations is related to which of these animals. They bring various psukim through Nach and a pasuk from Tehillim that relates to the people of Israel. But as we use this as a backward shaped note, so this is something that's going to refer to the other animals, this is going to be something that is going to be connected to all of the others. So you're going to bring all of these things and you're going to divide them, but the Torah you're not going to. It goes out, so it's going to be related to the others but separate. And pigeon number 12. Finally, and a pigeon shall conclude the presentation as another example of clean bird. So it's going to have again the stabilizing influence of tahara without being related to anything else. So we have both the idea of the people of Israel being connected to the rest of the world, but also them staying separate from the rest of the world. So whether you're connected to the rest of the world or whether you keep yourself distinct from the rest of the world, you are going to have this ability to supersede everything that they do. They're going to get divided, they're going to, in the end, not exist, and you are going to continue. And we have a remark, in my view, those species symbolize the variety of the tribes. The partition of the animals reflects the equal individual division of the land in accordance with the requirements of the specific tribe in its main occupation. So, Avram asked, "Bama eda ki yirashena." How am I gonna know how to divide it up amongst the kids? Mm-hmm. And he's saying that this is actually a route map that's being given to him to say how you're going to do it. Reuven, the cattle grower, shall occupy the pasture lands. Zvulun, the maritime merchant, will be occupied with the waterfront, etc. The information, along with other knowledge, was transmitted to Yaakov. Yaakov says, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to you and to the tribes, but division of the land took place at the time of Yehoshua. So even though the knowledge was previously disseminated from Avram, got to Yaakov, got to the 12 sons, Yehoshua is the one who eventually does the partitioning. The three animals divided into 3 parts each, in addition to the dove and the pigeon, correspond with 11 tribes which received land, and the 12th tribe of Levi did not receive land, did not receive any property, but assigned for service and administration. So that's why we have 3, 3, 3, and 1, and 1. So that's our 11. And again, I'm not quite sure why he said the significant number was after Mishulash, after the third number 3. But this is another way of looking at the numbers. Inclusion of the birds with the animals was a symbol of unity and equality of the tribes. And again, other than the fact that each one of them gets a representation within that, and that has to do with Avram's question of Bama Eda, how am I going to know how to act, how to divide this amongst the kids? God is giving him divine foreknowledge of what he is going to do and how he's going to represent it for each of them, so that they can inherit according to their skills and their talents. as we read through the sentence with the pauses overemphasized, we'll see that the first phrase, Vayomer Elav, is going to say, God, Avram asked a question, I'm going to give you the answer. That's what those first two words are going to be there. Kecha li, take for me. Again, with a slight pause there, is going to say, when you have something, you have to make sure that you take the responsibility for owning it seriously. Egla mishulashet, the E's mishulashet, the Ayah mushulash. Each one of these three is going to stand on its own based on the merits of what each of the particular things represent, and how Avram is going to use that knowledge to divide to different tribes. The Torah connected to what's come from before. The Gozal separated out. So whether you're connected to the rest of the nations or whether you accept it distinct from them, you're going to get the proper reward. And again, 3, 3, 3, 1, 1, 11 is going to define the number of the tribes who are going to be inheritors of land.
So thanks. So if you are counting 11 and not 12,
Mhm.
so that treats Yosef as one.
That treats Yosef as one.
So Ephraim and Manasseh, but they didn't share land. Like they had completely
Mhm.
distinct parts of land. So is there, how do we explain that? Like it's either 12, when you exclude Levi but
Mhm.
separate Ephraim and Manasseh, or it's 12 if you include Yosef as one but include Levi.
So the giving the extra portion to Ephraim and Manasseh is something that Yaakov did. So until Yaakov is on the scene, there are really 11 to divide to. And Yaakov takes his prerogative as one of the avot to give an extra portion. So from Avram's perspective, there are 11. 11, and Levi separated out. And as I said, Yaakov does what he has a right to do. He says, I'm going to give you Pishnai. I'm going to give you double.
They treat Yosef as before.
And in some aspects, because Yosef saves them all from starvation, they'll owe everything to him, so he gets an extra portion. So again, that's something that makes sense from Avram's perspective and from our perspective, if you will. So again, we're going to read through it with pauses overemphasized. Vayomer elav v'chali egla mishulashet v'hez mishulashet v'ayo mishulash v'tor v'gozal. Do we have another sentence in ourselves, or are we?
No, I think we might need to call it at this point.
I think
We will call it, and we will make a note that we need to go back to that extra paragraph when I have the other book with me.
Sure, thank you. And Mazel Tov
Thank you.
Sue the Nabubi, the Zeta,
Thank you. And I should
the
have
new
said-
great-grandfather, right, would have been Zeta. Right, Dad would have been a new great-grandfather.
Yeah, so I should have said, at the outset I was meaning to and didn't, that we should dedicate this learning for our Yoledet and our new Tinok, and that this is still a time where we ask Hashem for refuah for them. She's still considered a cholah. The Tinok is still, in Shad Mashber for the two of them. So may this learning be a merit as a chut for their well-being and for their, for Elisha to bring this child of Torah into the world and have him grow in Torah.
Amen.
Gadol the chuppah, the masim Torah.
Amen. Sure.